want, somebody can sell ads. We used to have a cable company that actually put ads on the side, which I made a mistake on, by the way. I never gave this a thought when I said they could put ads on there. Well, one of the persons running for city council used that to put his ad for running for city council. Well, God, I never thought about that. So I limited that, but I made a mistake. I never thought, this was supposed to be a campaign item here. But, so I messed that up. But you're talking about virtually no cost. 25,000 market town lasted about 3 days. But the cost is virtually nil. And you have the talents and everyone in the departments to write up the stories. What is the city's regulation on trash? Do you have codes for how the house is, if the house is peeled painting, can you make it painted? I don't know. But talk about issues that are important to you as an area. You can do something on the golf course. Have a picture of the golf course and talk about it built in 1912 and that this is collapsing, or we got to add something to it. What of those things are important? How much money does the county spend every year on gravel or fixing up the roads? People like that, to know that stuff. And they like to have the opportunity to respond. Most don't, but they want to have that opportunity. So I don't think it costs you much anything.
Any other questions, Larry?
Something about building consensus. Were you all hand in hand from day one, or how?
Absolutely not.
Okay.
Absolutely not. I can tell you the silos were there, and everybody at first said, well, I'm not going to go over and do that, help them out. I didn't have to worry about my own. And that's why you want to do simple things. You want to be consistent and continuous. Saying, let's try these really easy things, and then we're slowly going to get a little bit harder down the road. The YMCA, we were looking with the school. We're going to actually change our swimming pool, and goodness, cost us $2.2 million to rehab our swimming pool, and we would have a rehab swimming pool. We compare that to our original agreement with the YMCA that we'd give them, and in the end we gave them $1.5 million, $750. So it's cheaper for us to give them that money and get a better facility, and we didn't lose any money. We don't pay any operating costs. And the city gets a wellness program out of it. Way different than the initial agreement. But people do need to trust each other, and they do need to realize the county commissioners aren't bad people, the school board aren't bad people, hospital board aren't bad people. Everybody wants to work together. Everybody wants to do a better job. And you can do it better if you work together, from my standpoint. So yes, definitely was tough at the beginning.
Any more questions?
I'll take it one step farther. When the school superintendent was just hired, the last two of them, there's absolutely no question in my mind they were hired in part because they wanted to work with the city. Vern Fisher came out of Grand Island. The person before him, Van Phillips, both of those were hired, and they asked the city and the county to be on the committee that recommended to the school board who to hire. So they want this atmosphere to continue of working together and how to talk.
All right. Well, with that in mind, just as a segue, I do want to wrap up tonight with a conversation amongst all of you about how do we proceed, because one thing I loathe about meetings is going to meetings without any type of action on the back end of it. Walking out and saying, what are we going to do after this? I guess my question for all of you is, do you find value in this? Is this something that you want to do and move forward together and start doing some of the things? We don't have to talk about capital improvement projects right now, but if there's a way to share services, if there's a way to lower our tax burden in some fashion on our citizens, why aren't we talking about that? So I guess now is the time in which I would like to open things up and say, what do you want to do about it? Do you want to sit here, stay in our silos and walk out and leave and maintain the status quo, or are we going to look at this and say, let's do something different? I don't want to be like South Sioux City. I don't think anybody here wants to be just like this. But we can look at models in which work and say, this is a value and this is how we can choose to grow. So what are your thoughts? It's time now to throw it all out there and have a conversation about this.
Nobody else is, I've heard this kind of talk, so I think it's full. But, the whole, talking about the whole community, I really think it's county, because one county makes something here today, more or less. But the thing is, in our protection, police, between the Ward Police, the county, that maybe we unify that, so the whole county would feel they're owners of it, so it covers the whole county. And I think that's one small area.
That's a great point. Is there anyone else who wants to share some thoughts?
Caleb, I've thought about this for a long, long time, and we're talking baby steps out here first. But you know, one thing in this community, and by community, I don't mean Ord, I don't mean Arcadia, North Loop. As far as I'm concerned, we're all one. I sit out here centrally located in most of them, and I'm not even, I mean Burwell and other, towns out of the county. We all need each other. And there isn't a darn thing that we don't have here to offer the people that you can get anyplace else. We're competing against each other, and our real competitors aren't each other. It's the people in Grand Island, Kearney, areas like that. Yes, we need to get together. We need to support each other. When a town has a function, we all need to go there. I was educated in a small community. Went to high school. I says, when we had a football game or a basketball game, it wasn't just the parents of the people. It was everybody came to that function. We have a county fair here, and a lot of times half the town doesn't even know anything going on. And the only reason I mention the county fair is I'm on the Ag Society, so that's something I'm aware of. I'm not very good about going to football games and basketball games, but I think that's a place we begin. Extraordinary days, popcorn days, These are all important to us, whether we live right in that immediate community or not. And I don't know whether it's going to make anything huge happen, but that may start our trust.
I think it's a very good point. Thank you.
I think our economic development is a prime example of different boards going together and starting something. Now, I think it's very important. We kind of did it, okay, yeah. This board said, yeah, we'll help sponsor this board and this board, but we never really got together like this and talked about it. And I think that's an excellent next step. But I think we've started that. I think it just needs to be developed and grow.
Do you all find value in getting together like this? A lot of heads nodding. That's good. Do you have any suggestions on what that next step of continuing this conversation looks like?
I think we should have all the individual boards go back at the next meetings and sit down and identify what they think their strengths are, their weaknesses, their opportunities, and their threats. And then we get together in a big meeting and we just sit down and we talk about that together with all the boards.
I like that. Thank you. Other thoughts? I think that's a great first step.
Our board is rather unique, and we bear the biggest rating by far with public power. And to get trust of the people, you need to do something very trust the people in the corners too. Something needs to be done. They feel welcome in the meeting, whatever else I think. Where this.
So public is what you're saying, outreach, all right? Yes.
You know, I'm on the city council, I said, and you have, you know, the city uses gravel, they use asphalt. So does the county, so do all the other ones. Who has the best price? And, you know, I shouldn't say using is not a good word, but we're all doing it, you can all still pay for what you're actually getting, so there's no tally mark up here, well, they owe us one, or they owe us one. But if you know the price that you're getting, everybody can save money. Because you're using the fuel, you're using the asphalt, you're using the gravel. And it may not be a big issue, it may all be about the same, but I know from the different projects that we were gonna do with asphalt, it makes a big difference if you order more. Or they're gonna help, you know, and Rick does a very good job talking to other communities when we got, you know, we'll get, you know, trading back and forth and doing stuff that way. But that's something that every board uses, that you're only, you know, you're paying for what you're getting, but if you can get a better price, why not? And you're still helping each other out. You know, I don't know if you can communicate that from board to board to see what they are, you know, whenever they're doing their budgets, they're doing, everybody's on a different time frame, so it's tough. But, you know, then you're helping each other, but you shouldn't get the tally marks, because if I'm using how many cubic yards, that's what I'm paying for, you know what I mean? It's not, well, they owe us one, I gotta give everything, but they give us something back. I mean, you gotta get away from the tally marks. And it may not be fair at first, I understand that, but you have to look at the bigger picture down the line that, you know, but I said something as easy as that, where everybody is using it and acquiring it, why not help each other out? You know, save $100 here, $1,000 there. Everybody that's on a board here would love to have that extra $1,000, extra $100. I don't care what board they're on.
That's right. I think that's a really good start too. I mean, Walmart has buying power, and what do? They transfer it to consumers in terms of lower prices. Say there's a buying program amongst the county, the city, and all the villages for gravel and asphalt. What does that do to your costs, your inventory costs? Everybody buys together, prices go down. I'll tell you, your vendors will be a lot more honest and willing to get your dollar. I think it's a great point,
Yeah, we have a community of a lot of controversy. We all know that. And there are strengths and weaknesses on each side of those controversies. And wouldn't it be awesome if we could all get together and use the strengths on each side?
I would agree with you 100%. I've been saying that the first day I got here. And I know you all agree with that. I think that's a really important part of this conversation. To be very honest with you all. I'm gonna editorialize just a small bit here. To me, this is a discussion about survival. Because if you look at the trends, and the reason why I asked Lance to bring up the population issue is that we have a very important census that's coming up. I know that if I've had a chance to speak to your board, I've said this before, a very important census that's coming up that's going to tell us where we're at when it comes to population. If you don't think the population affects your board or your institution that you represent, you're delusional. And I mean that not out of ill will, but I mean that out of sincerity, because this is an issue of survival for every single one of our communities in this area. Can we afford to fight against each other any longer? I don't think so. I don't say that because of ill will. I say that because I'm sincere about building a prosperous future for all of our communities. And that includes Loop City. That includes Birdwell. Those communities aren't healthy. We aren't either. And if we're not working together, then we simply can just roll over and die. I don't accept that as fair game for the reality of our future. I don't think it's appropriate. So I apologize if I get a little passionate about this, but this is really important. This is a really important point. I'm from a community that's dead. Anybody else here from a community that's dead? Okay. This is very nice to go home and see the community in which my family founded dead. Bothers me. My family homesteaded that community in the 1870s. It bothers me to go back